Saida's story is actually not just the story of a working class person. It sort of runs parallel with the story of India in the last 30 years.
Start. Welcome to News Laundry Interviews. Today we have with us Neha Dixit. Last 12 years she's been an independent journalist. The reason why she's here with us is because she has come out with a new book. It's called The Story of an Unknown Indian, The Many Lives of Saida X. The scene of action for most part of the novel is Karawal Nagar, which is in northeast Delhi. It is an industrial hub of sorts, and if you actually Google Karawal Nagar, you'll find stories on rape, on murder.
Seeing a number of web series or the conversation about that part of Delhi, it's always like, okay, some, for example, I love Patal Lok, but the thing is that, okay, all keede makode rehte hain. Like you said, this is Saida X. This is not just this Saida, but many Saidas who are living this life and facing the consequences of the political turmoil in the last 30 years in this country.
There's a horrific case of rape that has been reported out of Calcutta. It's a young doctor. And it immediately took me back to 2012, December 16th gang rape case, where at least I think I had been in journalism for about 4 years. And there was this angle of, it could be me.
I keep saying this very often that after the 2012 anti-rape movement, thankfully our news organizations can no longer be dismissive of these cases that happen on the streets or anywhere. But the fact is, even that coverage or that debate or discussion is very superficial. Within unorganized sector, this cheap female labor economy that exists, and women like Saida, who are piece rate workers in like common language or home-based workers, they get 1/5 of the daily wage. How do you even start talking about sexual harassment when the immediate need is to put food on the table? Before that, I used to work for a news channel, and at one point we were told that ye don't do this bichara stories. Once somebody also said, ye kya kati phati auraton ke bare mein likhte ho?
Because the advertisers need the urban rich eyeballs to sell.
If you want to sell kitchen appliances at prime time, you can't talk about malnutrition. It's very clear.
Welcome to News Laundry Interviews. Today we have with us Neha Dixit. She's an independent journalist. I'm sure you've got her bylines. She's done investigations. She's reported on crime, on politics, including a very excellent profile of Mayawati for The Caravan. She's reported on gender, of course, social justice issues. And how long have you been an independent journalist now, not affiliated with any organization?
Last 12 years.
Last 12 years, she's been an independent journalist. She's won too many awards, so I'm not going to list all of them. But one of the most prestigious, and the recent one was CPJ Press Freedom Award. Welcome, Neha. Thank you so much for joining us. The reason why she's here with us is because she has come out with a new book. It's called The Story of an Unknown Indian, The Many Lives of Saida X. This book hasn't been in the making for 10 years, so we won't give you grief for it, like we were discussing before rolling. We're not going to ask you why did it take so long, but we're going to discuss this book, how it came about, the process of Neha's writing. Essentially traces the life of Saida, who's a migrant worker from Banaras, has been in Delhi, done some 50-odd jobs. The last 1 week, we've seen protests across the country. There's a horrific case of rape that has been reported out of Calcutta. It's a young doctor. And it immediately took me back to 2012, December 16th gang rape case, where at least I think I had been in journalism for about 4 years. And I remember being a young journalist in the newsroom, reading the FIR, reading the medical report. And as a single woman back then in Delhi, I think it really resonated with us, a lot of us, and really shocked us. And there was this angle of, it could be me, which is why I think we talked so much about December 16th.
The other day I was talking to a friend and she wrote to me that we are back again where we were. And you talk about the December 2012 case, there were massive protests. And now, again, we see massive protests on the streets. I'm glad that people are coming out again. But in the last 10, 12 years...
So the almond you eat, 3 rupees per kg is what they get paid for sifting it. And Saida was also an almond worker, and you meet her at one protest, similar protest.
So all these almonds that they process are basically the California almonds So everything is outside, it comes here, it's cleaned, it's processed, it's packaged, and it goes back. And that was the time when a lot of like this almond milk was coming in as, you know, the new fad, or the strike was also successful in increasing the global rates in almonds, because these were the people who were cleaning it and they were no longer providing it. So that's how I met Saida, because she's done 50 jobs. It keeps moving from season to season.
One of the interesting things, and I wanted to dwell a little bit on this, I mean, it's not really on love jihad, but Saida's son basically elopes. He's accused of love jihad. And you quite vividly describe how that unfolds. And I was wondering, because of course Saida's Muslim, though there's no like real overt conversation on communalization or, you know, love jihad and stuff like that, but what impact did you see in the last 10 years of the communal discourse on the people that you were reporting on?
So this is, Manisha, this is a very micro sort of conversation now in my head. Okay, so the bigger thing is of course love jihad, which is, I often feel that this is like the best example of mansplaining.
Like just recently, one of the localities in Delhi, migrant workers were attacked there because as a response to what's happening to Hindus in Bangladesh. So they're immediately branding Muslims especially कि ये बांग्लादेशी हैं.
Yeah.
चाहे वो यूपी से हो, बिहार से हो, वो मतलब flags बनाते हो like you document for Independence Day. But there is this immediate thing of Bangladeshi हैं, and even very affluent neighborhoods categorize them as such.
Yeah.
That this neighborhood is either Rohingya or then either Bangladeshi. How did you see an impact of this sort of a discourse on the people that you were reporting on?
Specifically talking about the book, it was really interesting because Saida, when she came initially and she was trying to get her children admitted in a school, and she did not have papers because most people don't have any documents when they come. You need rent agreement, all of that does not happen. And so she was accused of being Bangladeshi because she did not have papers, and then something happened and she could finally get through that wall. And then, so of course that she had faced that discrimination. She even recounts the kind of sloganeering that was done against Bangladeshis by Hindu supremacists. Later on, it's so interesting because later on when she moves to Karawal Nagar and her daughter Reshma starts hanging out with a person who is from Bengal, he's a Muslim.
The mother-daughter relationship is actually quite interesting, and I should come to that. So she's the daughter, I mean, like all mother-daughter relationships, it's a bit thorny. She doesn't really like being small town UP wali like her mother is. She says also कि मैं दिल्ली से हूँ, दिल्ली वाली हूँ. She has ambitions. The mother, who's been a working woman all her life, grudges her new job at a mall, which may mean late working hours. What were the interesting things that you noticed about this relationship that struck to you?
I was
especially in how women can sometimes curtail women, though as a woman she's led a very free life in some sense. Saida.
Yeah, no, like you said, none of the, like in the larger political discourse, none of those sections of society that we easily call like class, caste, gender, whatever, none of this is like homogeneous. So like you say, women, okay, but there is patriarchy and there are all kinds of feelings and dynamics are in place. So people don't necessarily act as women all the time. They have multiple identities. In this case, Saida, who is a hero in some way, also feels that she's a victim. And so, which is why this is also a generational thing, right? So she worked hard, and then the next generation, which is her daughter, is absolutely upset with the fact that why do you always behave like a victim? What is this low energy? I don't like it. So that bit, and also the fact that I want to do more than just surviving this day. I want to think about more and I want to see the world more. So if she was really kicked when she got the job in the mall, and the mall supervisor told her, you have to wear lipstick because you have dark lips. And she comes and tells her mother, now I can wear lipstick, and she can't say a thing to me.